You are listening to a Cult Talk Network podcast.
Pain is an illusion of the senses. Fear, an illusion of the mind. Beyond these, only death waits as silent judge over all.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Cult of Lore. I'm Ben.
I'm Eric.
And I'm Jerry.
See, look, his microphone is on this time.
We did it.
You can hear him. It's nice.
I'm here.
You are here all the time this time, instead of part of the time, like last time.
I'm
Yeah.
always here. Just in your
You'll
hearts.
be in
My heart.
Anyway, I'm super excited because we're talking about my favorite topic in all of 40K today. We're doing Primarchs.
Yes.
Another Primarch. I love the Primarchs.
He's been chomping at the bit.
Yep. There will be no subject that we cover in 40K to where I get as excited compared to the Primarchs. It's just not.
They were pretty much your gateway in, weren't they?
Pretty close.
Yeah.
My gateway into 40K was actually who has the strongest super soldier between, I don't remember who, Halo and 40K, and the Space Marine like handedly beat everybody, and I was like, how the fuck? So when I found out that something that overpowered was like their baseline level foot soldier, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Had to dig in.
I had to find out what the hell was going on in that universe.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about Mortarion, the Lord of Death, Primarch of the Death Guard.
Yes.
Farmer Morty.
Farmer Morty. I love that.
Terry refers to him as Farmer Morty, as you just heard.
And maybe as the episode unfolds, if you don't know Mortarion, you may understand why as we go along.
Yeah.
But I like it. Morty. Of course, then I start thinking about Rick and Morty. Farmer Morty becomes Moldy Morty, I guess.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus. So they are the 14th Legion, I believe?
Oh.
No, because I thought 14th Legion? Death Guard. Oh, my God. X15.
X15.
So it's one before 5, so that would be 14.
That is 14.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
I
You
was
did
right.
it. Hey.
God. It's just so hard to keep these in track, and I fucking hate Roman numerals once it gets past 10.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Seriously.
You had me confused too because you were like X15. I was like XI5.
Yes, and that's even worse. It's an I. Yeah.
I know.
But I always remember 4 as 1 before 5.
Yeah. That's how I have to remember
And
it.
Gypsy says, mailman?
Mailman?
Mailman, or she doesn't like Roman numerals either.
Could be.
Apparently it's a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Whatever.
She could take them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think so.
I won't be able to reach her at least. But anyway, Mortarion is they're all interesting, but Mortarion's a pretty interesting character for the Traitor Primarchs.
Yeah.
I refer to him as a bitch,
You do.
but he is and he isn't. He's got a bitch personality, but make no mistake, when it comes to the Primarchs, he's one of the top combatants.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can hold his own against pretty much anyone if he really wants to. So don't mistake whininess for being not a threat.
Okay, so my introduction to him was kind of through, you laid the groundwork for me.
Sure,
He's
of
kind
course.
of a bitch compared to the rest of the Primarchs.
Right.
And you compare him to like Lehman Russ, and it's like, oh yeah, definitely. But so I read the book and I came away with a lot of sympathy for Mortarion.
Sure.
Yeah,
That's
more than I thought I
That's
would.
good though.
Yeah.
It's not that Mortarion is completely absent of good or noble traits. And none of the traitor Primarchs are. None
Yeah.
of them. Not even Logar. We'll start at the beginning. So Mortarion, he was snatched from the lab like the rest of the Primarchs and was scattered by chaos, and he landed on Barbarus, which there's always a debate in the fandom between which Primarch had the worst upbringing, and it usually comes down to either Conrad or Mortarion. And I've said that I fall on the side of Conrad. Yes, I'm a little biased. He is my favorite traitor Primarch. But I just think that when you compare the two, like, the damage is way more evident in Conrad. Conrad is insane.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
His upbringing, and you have to include the visions as well. You can't, like, take them out.
Yeah.
Because Mortarion had things that he had to overcome too. He had an overlord as a father, whereas Conrad had no one. And you can argue about whether having no one or having a bastard of a father is better, but I think having no father is way worse. Because at least Mortarion had somebody through which could explain the world.
There was more structure.
Yes, Conrad didn't have that.
Yeah.
He had nothing.
That's true.
He had nobody to teach him how to interpret the things that he learned.
Yeah. And I was about to say, at least he had more choice in his upbringing, but he kind of didn't. His own beliefs in his lack of choice kind of took that away from him.
Right.
For Conrad. Anyway.
And the only reason why he thought that is because he didn't have anybody to explain to him what this foresight was.
Yeah.
But anyway, Mortarion had, I'm not trying to say like Mortarion, he had it, I believe he had it just a smidge better, just because I believe it's better to have somebody than nobody.
Yeah.
In that situation. Mortarion had a shit upbringing. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah. His foster father, I can't remember his name.
He was the head of the Overlords.
Nectar or something?
It was something like that.
Stand by.
Nakar or something.
Ooh, that sounds close. Okay. Nakar. I'm gonna throw my money behind that, and we'll see.
Nekar. Necare.
Yay!
Nekar.
All right.
So
Nakar.
So he landed on Barbarus. Barbarus is a farming planet, basically. There's monsters, it's a general shithole that you encounter in 40K. There's weird alien creatures. People have a hard life farming, but what makes Barbarus uniquely oppressive is two things, which I actually think are really one thing. It has this oppressively toxic atmosphere, and it has a ruling class of mutants called the Overlords. Now, when you read the book, it doesn't come out right and say it, but it pretty heavily implies that the Overlords are really, really, really old cultists of Nurgle that have not quite ascended to Demon Prince, but pretty close.
Yeah. Now that was interesting. I hadn't picked up on that myself from reading the book, because it's just kind of like, more creaturey things, but like that made a lot of sense to me when you pointed that out.
They talk about dealing in plague and stuff, and then they claim to worship an entity that's like older than whatever.
Yeah.
And the green, and also having read, I just finished Warhawk, because I'm ready for Echoes of Eternity, motherfucker. Synchronous! But I just finished the Warhawk, and in it is a demon called the Remnant, which is like this demon of Nurgle, but it's very like thin and emaciated. It's like what it says that it is what's left after the meal, the Remnant.
Oh.
And it takes one of the main Death Guard. Now, you have to remember, anytime anything's being explained by a demon, 60-40, 20-80, maybe completely and utterly bullshit, right? Like, you never fucking know. And anybody that takes anything they say with any level of like authority, because I saw this argued and I didn't know where it came from, and now I see where it's come from. I'm like, guys, that's your source. The Remnant explains to this Death Guard, his name is Captain Morag, I believe is his name.
Okay.
Morag. And his first name, I believe, is Kaifa. But anyway, kind of explains to him that Nurgle always was watching over Mortarion, like his entire life, and that Nurgle always had a presence, and kind of alludes to that Nurgle even picked where he landed.
Okay. Interesting. Right. Well, okay, that could make sense.
So
sowing these seeds a long time.
Right.
Yeah, so when you start putting it all together, the Overlords, I've seen a few fan artworks of the Overlords, and they get them all wrong. Like they make them almost like plague orcs, for lack of a better term, right? Orcs with kind of a plague aesthetic. They're not described that way at all. They're very thin and spindly and like wispy creatures. That's why they don't outright fight anybody, is because they're like easily damaged. They're heavy in psychic potential, but whenever you read about them killing somebody, it's like they came out of the gas or the fog and like snatched them. So Nurgle cultists tend to kind of, if they get big, it's like swollen and blubbery, but they tend to be very lean. Even the Death Guard are lean and muscular until they become infected, and then they get all swollen and shit.
Like bloated. And, Yeah.
So
expand out.
Things tied to Nurgle are actually a lot of the times very like spindly and starving.
Emaciated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you put this all together, and I heavily believe that the Overlords were at one time humans or human-esque creatures that fell to Nurgle. And
okay.
But anyway, they ruled over Barbarus, and they did whatever they want. It was their playground.
Yeah. They were enslaving people.
They were raping them. They were killing them. They were eating them. They were experimenting on them. They were using them for fun.
Like,
they were
sort of like bringing them back as zombie kind of things.
Oh yeah, the flesh golems, or were they just
the flesh
called golems?
The flesh golems, the golems are remarkably close to poxwalkers.
Oh, okay.
In description.
And poxwalkers are exclusively to Nurgle.
Yeah.
Nice. I hadn't made that connection.
Yeah, they're not quite like poxwalkers, but they're pretty close.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. It's like Nurgle really was looking after him the whole time. Like he was just, I could just kind of feel him in the sky looking down on Mortarion, and once he descended.
And that's very much
toxic gas into the planet.
Yeah.
And that's very much how the Remnant kind of describes it.
Yeah.
But the Remnant also claims that Mortarion, I'm going to say willingly chose to side with Nurgle, which he did technically.
He did on a technicality.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
But the Remnant claimed that he like outright just like chose. And I'm like, that's not how that went down.
No.
So who knows if Nurgle always watching over him is true or not? I feel like it probably is.
Yeah. The opportunity was definitely there, I would feel like.
Sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, Mortarion is raised by the head of the Overlords, Nakar, and he's used as kind of an enforcer almost on the other Overlords.
Yeah.
Because Nakar likes to just kind of fuck with him, make him do things that he doesn't want to do.
Oh, yeah. Like one thing that kind of kept coming up was like he's always being tested.
Yeah.
Everything's a test.
He's like constantly having to prove himself. And even if he comes close to doing it, his father's like, you could have done better. You know?
Right. Yeah. It's like never good enough.
Yep. And basically right up until he has contact with other humans and sees like he has more in common with them than the Overlords.
Yeah.
And this is like an aha moment for him.
Yeah. He's like, even though I'm like clearly also different, like I am much more like that fucker over there than I am you fuckers.
Yeah. And so Mortarion ends up siding with the humans.
Yep.
And because he's a Primarch, he's super strong, super fast, super intelligent. Like no Primarch is more intelligent than another. They are more physically strong than each other, but in mental capacity, they just use it all. They just each use it in a different way.
Yeah, they use their intelligence differently. If then some opt to use it less.
In a way, though, Nakar kind of nurtured that part of him, like teaching him the ways of war and stuff. And letting him do the research. And
right. See, and these are things that Conrad didn't Conrad didn't have.
Right. Yeah. Which does lend to like, Conrad did have a much more feral upbringing. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Because you can't even call that an upbringing.
I mean, it's survival.
Yeah.
But Mortarion teaches the village people, the people of Barbarus, how to fight, how to better farm crops. He helps them build like toxic suits so that they can work longer
and ascend to higher heights.
Because in Barbarus, the higher you ascend in the atmosphere, the more toxic it becomes. And of course, Nakar is at like peak toxicity, right?
Yeah.
So nobody can survive up there. Even Mortarion never was up there. That was like Nakar's private little hideaway castle.
Yeah, like he took Mortarion as far as he could go into the toxic stuff. And then he like stopped before it would kill him, and he was like, "This is where you're gonna stay." And then he went further into the toxic place, and that's where he made like his base.
Yep, tested the limit, made sure he's like, okay, yep, you're never gonna get classism in a very physical like representation.
Well, it's smart as all hell.
No kidding.
Because he's like, there is conceivably a time where I won't be able to take you and you will be able to take me. So I need a place where I can GTFO.
Yeah. Just found the limit. So it's like he had he was just always so logical in his tests, but like, I don't know why he had to be such a shit about it too, Mortarion, other than just being an evil bastard. I was going to
say he's completely corrupted.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Mortarion makes friends, and including one Typhon. Callous Typhon.
Yeah.
Who becomes his best friend and closest confidant. Now, Typhon.
Nice guy.
Yeah. Typhon's a character I really like. I love all the first captains. I think their stories are as cool as the Primarchs. Nice beer. Thanks.
Oh. Pour one out for Farmer Morty.
It's an energy drink. Who am I kidding? But anyway, he basically one by one hunts down the overlords and he slaughters them.
Yeah.
Typhon by his side leads missions on the other side of the planet when he has to and fights by him. And this is where Mortarion picks up his signature scythe.
Yeah. Yep. He even like the very first time he used a scythe, I don't know if it was the same scythe that he's like Silence, right? Is the name of the one.
I don't think it is now.
But when he kind of first comes down and starts really interacting with human, he uses the scythe first to help them with the farming.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he realizes
that was awesome.
And he realizes that it's because he makes comments that weapons never felt right in his hand. A sword never felt right. Spear, nothing ever really.
Yeah.
And when he's chopping down this wheat for a lack of a better term.
Yeah.
He is just like, nope, this is it. And he forever is linked with the scythe, which is what gave him his moniker, the Reaper of Men.
Yes. But I love that it started out in such a like wholesome way. Like this guy he became like a freedom fighter. He's almost like Spartacus, like he was kind of enslaved in a way.
Angron is Spartacus.
Okay, fair enough.
Because Angron's a literal gladiator.
Yeah, fair enough. But I did not expect him to be such a fighter against tyranny in his mentality.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He detested the oppression, and then it became a core part of his belief system.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So I loved that about him. But then, of course, the scythe has become kind of corrupted in our imaginations as going from a farming tool to a death tool. He kind of made that same transition fall.
So I once heard that the origin of the depiction of the Grim Reaper as a cloaked figure with a scythe is due to a report during the Black Plague eras. And maybe someday this will be on a Cult of Lore episode or a Cult Talks Conspiracy episode. Who knows? That there were people that reported seeing out in the fields a black figure with a scythe-like staff that was waving it back and forth like it was scything wheat, and out of it was coming the plague.
Oh. Whoa. Oh, interesting. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I would be interested to look more into that or to pass that off to Bailey and Ty to look into.
Yeah.
Because that's pretty cool.
I always thought so. I never looked further into it, but
yeah. But that's a really neat tie into my Mortarion too. Like in the way that we named them and
the
stuff.
plague aspect.
The plague itself. That's cool. Cool stuff.
Maybe that's how, who knows? Maybe that's how they helped come up with Mortarion.
Could very well be.
Because the Grim Reaper and Plague is pretty synonymous in that Black Plague, Black Death era artwork.
Yeah, definitely.
So, who knows?
Neat.
Maybe we'll find a good example of it, right? Yeah.
Oh, don't you do that to future Eric. Not this time.
I'll find the picture. Future Ben will find the picture.
Oh, there we go.
But anyway, he gets like his entire planet free for the exception of Nakar, because Nakar is just sitting like a bitch.
Yep. He's like, oh, yep. I drew that line earlier in my upbringing, and I'm going to stay above it now.
Yep. And so in comes the Emperor.
Yeah.
And he's like, you've done good here. It's time to go. And Mortarion's an asshole. He's like, fuck you. I don't want to work for you. And he's like, okay, well, you're coming anyway. And he's like, no, I need to kill my father. And he's like, you can't get up there. And he's like, well, if I can, then you can fuck off. And the Emperor's like, all right, okay, I'll let you. And he tries, and he gets to the top. He gets to within view of Nakar's castle.
Yep.
And then his lungs start to
melt.
Shrivel up and die.
Yeah, the toxicity was just so strong it was melting his armor. As
it was like corroding. He had like blood coming out of his mouth and shit like that.
And so the Emperor steps up there and is looking down at him. He's like, I told you couldn't do this. Yep. So he kills Nakar and takes Mortarion.
So that was a pretty heavy move on the Emperor's part. Yeah. That had a pretty big impact on Mortarion, wouldn't you say?
That was like his opportunity to prove himself and like seek vengeance.
And he was completely robbed of it.
Robbed? How was he robbed?
The Emperor took it away from... Oh, I am speaking from Mortarion's point of view.
I was going to say, Mortarion was dying.
Yeah.
Yes. So, right. The deal is, okay, if you can kill this guy, I'm going to leave you alone. If you can't, then you're coming with me, right?
Yeah.
So the Emperor is like the next step up in the tyranny cycle for Mortarion.
Yeah, but the problem is, I think Mortarion just didn't learn the lesson that the Emperor had intended him to learn, which is there are limits. You can't just always plow through things and win.
You're right.
And I'm speculating because, they never give the Emperor that kind of dialogue. That would be too much dialogue for the Emperor to have. And that would also be too much explanation into his thought process. And we don't do that shit at all.
Yeah. But
Which is a smart move.
But. Yeah. But that, I think you're probably right because the Emperor is quite wise and everything. All hail the Emperor. And Mortarion, like, that's a common thing that kind of keeps coming up with him is like, he's all about endurance and always pushing forward. You will endure, but he keeps running into those limits without being prepared for them.
I think perhaps what the Emperor was trying to teach him is just because you might be able to endure something doesn't mean that you should.
Yeah.
And that sometimes just walking away is the better option.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have if you weather everything, you're going to be ground to dust.
You'll eventually be cracked.
Yeah.
So I do think he was trying to teach him a lesson there. It's just Mortarion was pig-headed and didn't want to learn, which I can relate. I certainly.
Yeah, fair. I can be pretty stubborn.
Yeah. And there's characters without personality flaws are very, very fucking boring.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So just because...
Gotta spice it up.
Yeah, absolutely. They all have to have flaws. Otherwise, you won't see yourself in them.
Yeah.
So he goes back and he goes and serves the Emperor and he joins what was called the Dusk Raiders. That's what the Death Guard were called before they were the Death Guard.
Dusk Raiders.
Because they used to attack at like night.
They used to attack right. Yeah, they would paint their armor like a deep, like sunset red because they would always attack at sunset
and come in from the horizon. And oh, that's cool. Okay, I haven't gotten into that part of the lore. Neat.
Well, so we're not. That's about as far as we're going to dive into it because the legions themselves are going to get their own episodes.
Okay,
they deserve it, especially because you can get into some of the legion heroes and things like that.
Yeah.
So we will.
There.
Yeah. So that's just a little brief. And god damn, like Nathaniel Garrow.
Oh yeah, he's a cool character. Yeah. I've ran into him in the book.
The Hidden Blade,
or Buried Dagger.
Buried Dagger.
Yeah,
that's what it is. The Buried Dagger. But Garrow is a character that definitely needs to come up within the Death Guard episode. If you don't know anything about Nathaniel Garrow, Luton actually just did a really awesome video on him. You're not allowed to watch it because he basically, not so much spoilers, but he goes through the story beats of Flight of the Eisenstein.
Okay.
And I have done, at current time of recording, I have done 10, maybe 11 40K books at this point. I've been plowing through them pretty steadily. I do a good 6 hours a day of a book.
Yep.
And Flight of the Eisenstein, by leaps and bounds, has been the best so far. That is if you guys want to start, if you're familiar with the setting and you want to start someplace, Flight of the Eisenstein is phenomenal.
And if it follows Garrow, it does.
He
makes for a pretty good character. I didn't really feel like he quite had a place in the book that I had just read.
So he does not, guys.
Yeah.
If you read that,
kind of two parallel stories going on there,
and I think that's because they didn't know what to do with him quite yet, and they ended up giving him his own book, which Fly of the Eisenstein really is a Nathaniel Garrow book. He is the main character of that book, but it's not really his story per se.
Yeah,
But yeah, I cannot recommend enough Flight of the Eisenstein. If you guys want to start someplace on a 40K books, it's right at the kickoff of the Horus Heresy. So it's book number 2 or 3 in the Horus Heresy series, of which there are like 150.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Not done yet either. They're still going.
And it's still going. We've got three more at least.
See, one of the sources I looked at said there were like 50 novels.
Yeah, there are.
Now there's 100.
No, there are 50 novels, and the rest are short stories and novellas. Yeah, so that's what you have to. So that's the scale we're looking at to cover the entire Horus Heresy. I'm not promising that by the time we get there, but believe you me, I'm making a hell of a run at the Horus Heresy series.
He is really making a good faith effort. He's not kidding. 6 hours a day with the book. He just
6 hours a day.
Thank you, Audible, who should sponsor us but doesn't.
Right, Audible is a fucking killer. Like 6 hours a day, 5 days a week. I've been doing this since I've downloaded Audible. So so it's a lot.
From the outside, it seems like a really cool part of the story. So
right, yeah. Seriously.
Oh, it is. The Horus Heresy is my. I'm a 30K fan because 40K, and it's actually the 42nd millennium is where they're at right now in the timeline. 30K is when the Horus Heresy took place, and that's my favorite. I love it because it's it's a Primarch Civil War. God damn it! Like,
that's where you made your home. You're like,
it is. Yep, I nested there. It's comfortable. I can take my shoes off, which I don't take my shoes off anywhere.
It's true. Yeah.
But back to Mortarion. So he
his shoes are wet.
Wet and moldy now.
No, I am not some heathen. I pay money to have water resistant or proof shoes. So
I get it.
Yeah.
Only on the outside, dry as bone on the inside. But anyway, he renames the Dusk Raiders the Death Guard after his soldiers and the people that fought for him on Barbarus.
Yeah.
There is a really cool scene before he leaves Barbarus where it's right when they take like the final overlord that's not Nikar, and they share a drink with each other. Oh. And they have this. It's in the book that you listened to.
I must have. Oh, sorry. I was trying to skip Garrow stuff in that book so that I could keep up with Mortarion. Well, I must have missed it by accident.
Anyway, they pour like a shot of alcohol for Mortarion and all of his generals, and he drinks it, and it's like 100 proof moonshine. But to him, he's like, this is crap.
Yeah.
So he goes to the still and he undoes the tank and pours out shots of the mineral spirits they used to make it.
Oh, good Lord.
And they're like, my Lord, that could kill us. And he's just like, well, to enjoying every day. And they're like, okay. It doesn't kill any of them, but they ain't happy about it. But it's a cool scene because it becomes a Death Guard tradition.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes. Okay. I did. Yeah. Right. I'm back on the same page here.
When you do Flight of the Eisenstein, this is not it's a spoiler. It's just a spoiler for a small part. But Mortarion tries to do this with Garrow as like why don't you come to our side? Before everything kicks off, right? He does this thing with Garrow. This is in like the first couple of chapters because the whole book's about how this whole thing goes to shit.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, we're getting ready to wipe out all the loyalists to the Emperor because we're getting ready to start the heresy. And he's like, I would really like Garrow. Garrow commands a lot of respect in the Death Guard, but he's from Terra. He's one of the Dusk Raiders. He's one of the few Dusk Raiders still left.
Ah, okay.
So that's
the OGs.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's why his loyalty is to the Emperor over Mortarion. He served under the Emperor first.
This makes sense.
Yep. And that's actually what happened with most of the loyalists during the Horus Heresy. They were almost all of the Terran-born ones were completely wiped out because they fought before the Primarchs were there.
Yeah. They got to know the Emperor a little more than they did their Primarchs.
Correct.
Yeah.
So he offers him this drink and Garrow turns it down.
And how was that taken? It's like, nah, I'm not joining you in this shit.
Well, so that's all subtext. Like Mortarion's trying to ask him without asking him.
Gotcha.
And Garrow's like, No, I don't think because Mortarion's like, so this is what I'm proposing. Toast. And Garrow's like, I can't agree to that.
I see.
And he like walks away and Mortarion's like, well, he's got to die. But it's cool to see the origins of that ritual and then how Garrow was like, nah.
And to have it, then it ends up having like being part of that impactful moment between those two characters.
Yeah. Cool. So it is cool.
Yeah.
So Mortarion leads the Death Guard. His big thing is all about endurance, and their fighting style is very straightforward. It's weather the assault.
Yeah.
And just
weather the beating and then dish it out.
Yep.
Never stop advancing
he has them paint their armor
Yeah.
He has them paint their armor like a flat gray, no decorations. They're not allowed like honors or titles or anything like that. Like
he pulled like the same strategy from Barbarus and adopted it into the Death Guard.
Yeah. So it's kind of where he starts becoming a bit of a hypocrite, huh?
Well, it's where he starts to lose respect for the Terran-born soldiers, certainly. Because these are things they had earned and were given to them by the Emperor, their decorations, their titles and stuff. And to do away with that probably hurt. But also they were probably excited to have their Primarchs, so they probably didn't mind that much.
Right.
Realistically.
Boy, but how could he not see that? To me, that's like kind of the same thing as what his foster dad was doing to him, where it's like, yeah, sure, you might have passed the test or almost passed the test, but like you could have done better. So fuck it. You know what I mean? And he just to actually strip them of
I hate to
that
say
recognition.
I hate to say it. If there's one defining trait for Mortarion, it's that he's a hypocrite.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
He's a huge hypocrite.
Right.
Everything that Mortarion claims he hates, he either does or holds or became.
Yeah.
So he
tragic.
Like I'll tell you, like, and everything is not his fault. It's always like him and Conrad do share that in common. It's always somebody else's fault. Like so because of the damage done to his lungs, Mortarion always has to wear a respirator. And he blames that on the Emperor.
Because of the challenge.
Yeah, he's like,
to go up there.
He's like, the Emperor could have made me not be affected by this, or he could have done this, or he could have done that. He's like, he gave you the choice to just not do it.
Yeah.
So he is a hypocrite.
I know. It wasn't a great choice, but a lot of the Primarchs didn't have better choices than that either. Yeah.
All right, fine. I'll give you one that he absolutely had a choice on. The Council of Nicaea.
Yeah.
That was him being full-blown bitch.
Oh, yeah. Okay. When it comes to psychers, he is full-blown a hypocrite.
Yeah. So the Council of Nicaea is the big council that the Emperor had trying to decide what to do about the Thousand Sons and Magnus the Red. And some Primarchs were like, no, listen, librarians are psychers are just a tool. It's the warrior and the teacher, of which I believe. Jagatai Khan was one of these, which is cool. Sanguinius was one of them because, blood of the angel. But like some of the other ones, like Mortarion was actually the key one against it.
Yeah.
And
pretty staunchly against.
Yeah, the whole time he's telling people like what you need to do with your psyker units. Meanwhile, back at his unit, he has Typhon just quietly rounding up all the psychers, and he's still allowed to use them. They become Typhon's unit. And he's cool with it.
Yeah.
He's like, as long as I don't have to see him, it's fine. Meanwhile, you're up there standing in front of the Emperor, and it actually, I believe it comes down to what Mortarion's like the last one to speak. And he spoke with such zeal and passion that it like swayed the Emperor. And it's like, you fucking hypocrite.
Wow.
Because like Typhon was a psyker too.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Mortarion claimed that he didn't know about that. That's bullshit though. Like in their interactions where they don't talk about it, it's like, okay, you guys are deliberately not talking about it.
Yeah, it's like an unspoken elephant in the room.
In one of the stories that I had heard about where he first met Typhon was being like pursued or something by some of the overlords, and he saw him using
psychic powers to repel them.
To kind of fight them.
And
then he ended up saving him or jumping in to help save him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he might not have known at that time what a psyker was.
He might not have knew, but
right.
But he did have an idea.
And
Yeah.
he had the context to put it together.
Once he got into the Imperium, he certainly would have been able to put it
Yeah,
together.
right. Yeah.
So, fuck you, Mortarion. When it comes to psychics, you psychers, you fucking bastard.
Out of sight, out of mind.
And because of him,
Ugh.
fucking Magnus the Red and the Thousand Sons turned traitor. Because the Council of
That
Nicaea,
is a direct
it is a direct response
to that.
It was the only one the
decision.
Thousand Sons could possibly give.
Yeah. Right. Because they're all about. Yeah.
If you let
that's
a
all they
legion
are.
be founded at its core by psyker power, and then you eventually say, like, no, psychers are outlawed, like, of course they're going to rebel.
Yeah. Boy, and he sure did hand Typhon the keys to the palace, didn't he?
Sure as fuck did.
Ugh. That's another very direct. Well, we'll get there, won't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Council of Nicaea
Yeah.
happens, and he fucks over Magnus. Huh?
With the navigators.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
Yep.
yeah. Yep.
So the Council of Nicaea happens. He fucks over Magnus the Red for, I don't know, for some fucking reason.
Yeah.
And the Crusades carry on when, the Horus Heresy starts to creep in. Erebus and Corferon are the first to fall. They probably never actually saying that they fell is probably not accurate. They were probably believers from the get.
Yeah.
They were probably always serving chaos.
Okay.
From the way they kind of talk.
Yeah.
It's
They
heavily
kind of.
implied.
Do you think it's kind of like they always had the? Is it like a preordained sort of thing, or were they just always kind of believers in it once they?
So the core religion on the world that Logar landed on was Chaos Undivided. They just didn't call it that.
Okay.
And
Okay.
everybody on that planet followed this religion, and then Logar led a rebellion. And Corferon and Erebus were two believers of that old faith, and especially Corferon. And then they just never dropped it, even though they were supposed to have. They sided with Logar because they wanted power.
Yeah. And to survive, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they corrupt the word bearers, which in turn corrupt Horus. Now, Erebus specifically sought out Typhon. He had fought along Typhon a few times, and he specifically sought out Typhon to corrupt.
Okay.
And so Typhon was the rat in the nest for the Death Guard.
Right. Ugh. Okay. So, but he wasn't like always a traitor in the same way that like Erebus could be said to, or a
Right.
chaos,
Well,
whatever.
so
Yeah.
I'm not so sure. I think Typhon would to say that he's a traitor is maybe not accurate, but I do believe that he would have sided with whoever would have offered him the most power.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Typhon immediately saw bigger fish and went to that. So is he always a traitor? Yes and no.
Fair.
He's a traitor to people, but he's consistent to himself, I guess.
Gotcha.
And honestly,
Always about that climb.
he's a true believer.
Yeah.
Now, especially.
That is one thing that really struck me in the book is that he very much he's very pure in his belief in the
Oh yeah.
grandfather.
Even more so than Mortarion.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, one of the sources that I found said that he's like what Nurgle wanted Mortarion to be.
I believe that.
Yeah.
And
that
I
makes a lot of
actually
sense.
think the
Yeah.
Death Guard are headed for like a civil war between Typhus at this point and Mortarion.
Yep. I have some neat notes about his name. I don't know if this is the appropriate time or not. For
Typhus
it.
or Typhon?
Both.
Okay.
The character.
Oh, sure.
So if we didn't know, Typhon, it's pretty cool. I need to look more into the name references.
Oh,
in 40K
dude, they're
in
all
general, 'cause-
over the goddamn
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of them.
Yeah.
So,
Where you're like, I recognize that from somewhere.
Like, oh, yeah, right. So Typhon is I don't know. I don't know if it's a direct reference, but whatever. It's from Greek mythology. It's the 100-headed like dragon snake monster that Zeus casts into Tartarus at some point.
yeah, I think it's like maybe one of the father of the monsters.
Yeah, I
It's a
think
kid
he
named,
is the
like,
father of
mother.
one. I think you're right. Yeah, pretty sure
It's
you're
one of the
right.
fathers.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
And typhus is a disease that sounds rather nasty that is spread by lice and mites and things like that, which I thought was pretty appropriate.
Oh yeah, especially with the Destroyer Hive.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets to destroy your hive and it like lives inside him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the host.
So that's
for it.
what made me think about that. So
Yeah.
that connection right there was like where I was just like, oh, I have to see what these names mean now, because it's like
Now,
all the bugs.
it is important to note that Typhon did not cause Mortarion to side with Horus. Mortarion did that all on his own. They were not corrupted by the time that Isvan 3 kicked off.
Right. Yeah, they did. They had not fallen to chaos. They just decided to.
So they did Isvan 3, which is where all the traitor legions wiped out all of the loyalists inside of their own legions. They committed 2 massacres, Isvan 3 and then Isvan 5, which is the drop site massacre. Now, they got rid of the loyalists, and they were on their way to Isvan 5 when they're in the warp, when the Death Guard is hit by a mysterious plague. And this just blows Mortarion away, because the entire training of the Death Guard is about building a resistance to disease and toxin. They don't get anything. They could walk bare naked through anything and not get it. They could smear the blood and pus from
lepers,
Ebola all over their body, and they just wouldn't get it. But this stuff is like they're vomiting so hard their intestines are coming out of their mouths type stuff,
which is also like super embarrassing to them because of the way they train.
Right. And so
that should not be happening.
Yeah.
Right. And Mortarion and Typhon claims that he can root out the source of this disease, and it must be from psychers. And so Mortarion's like, all right, do whatever you must to stop this from happening. And so Typhon kills all of the navigators.
Yep.
Yeah.
Claiming that they were using their psyker powers to coordinate this disease from the warp.
It was a conspiracy. And he just, man, the way that scene went down, I was just immediately like, dude, that is super insubordinate to a Primarch. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not a dynamic I had really seen between a Primarch and a first captain before, as far as they get very insubordinate, mind you.
They do, yeah.
But in just that straight up, like, they all got to die now. We're doing it simultaneously. But I guess you're right. He had been assigned.
Yeah, he said, Mortarion said, do whatever you need to.
Too much trust.
But
too much trust.
So what Mortarion freaks out is he's like, we're trapped in the warp. Like, what the fuck are we going to do now? And Typhon's like, well, I'm a psyker. I will guide us through it.
I got this. I can handle this.
Yep.
Yeah. And he does. He trusts him so much.
He does.
Mortarion trusts.
That is one. That is
Starscream.
Yeah. Right.
It is a Starscream. Only Typhus is way more. Way more. What's the word I'm looking for? Competent. There we go. Way more competent.
Competent. There it is. Yeah.
Competent.
Yeah, he is a competent motherfucker.
God. Oh yeah. So he guides them right into the clutches of Nurgle.
Yep.
And they're all hit by this plague. Mortarion gets hit, and he's dying when Typhon reveals that he's the traitor.
Yes.
And
I hated that scene.
Mortarion stabs him with the fucking scythe, but it doesn't do anything because he becomes possessed by the Destroyer Hive. And that scene of him turning is awesome. Yeah,
that was awesome. And it was another good example of Mortarion's hypocrisy, because he was the one who sicked that demon on him. He made a deal with it. Like, hey, you kill this guy if that's what becomes necessary. Because he's not stupid. He was starting to, he ended up kind of coming around. He's like, okay, something's up with Typhon. I'm going to, if this needs to
somebody
happen,
refers to him as Typhus. Oh, it was Grulgor.
Yep.
So Grulgor is the very first Plague Marine. He was the very first Death Guard to ever be possessed by Nurgle.
Yeah.
And that actually happens in Flight of the Eisenstein.
Yes.
But Mortarion has him in a cell because he likes to converse with him. He's not sure what this thing is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it refers to Typhon as Typhus. It's the first time we ever hear that name.
Okay.
And Mortarion's like, wait, what did you call him?
And it's like,
Yeah, so he's gotten suspicion, but he does sick. Is it the Lord of Flies?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sicks the Lord of Flies on Typhus, which completely and utterly backfires.
Yep. That goes wrong. It's just like, it's basically like, we're bringing our two friends together now. And he doesn't, Mortarion had no idea.
Nope.
And I liked how the Lord of Flies was basically like, my vows to Nurgle supersede all
it's like, I can lie to you. Yeah, it's like, I can lie my ass off to you, you moron.
Never trust a demon. I don't care how racist that sounds.
Specious. I don't because it's got nothing to do with the color of their skin. If they're
absolutely not.
red, purple,
No.
green, and blue. Fuck all of them.
Oh, that was such a heartbreaking scene. And even before the merging, like what got me was like Mortarion was like just it came to blows and they're fighting back and forth and Mortarion's just like it hit him. He's like, I don't even know the man that I'm fighting.
Yeah, he's like because he comments how he's like, I've seen him fight before, but this is not his usual fighting style either. He's like, what the fuck do I know about this guy?
Nothing. Nothing. God, that was heartbreaking.
I know, but that's what makes Typhon so cool. He completely pulled it over on him.
Yeah, he did.
So Nurgle has Mortarion just like his skin is peeling off, the boils are popping up, like every single worst thing. And he's just not dying from it.
No.
And Nurgle's like, you can either sign all of your men, your sons and yourself over to me, or this is just going to be your life.
Yeah. And all the Space Marines are in the same boat. They are suffering. They can't die. He had even tried to kill the one that was suffering. Stabbed him in the heart.
And he just kept living.
Couldn't. Yeah. And it was so, he loves his sons. They are his sons, like in a way that Conrad never did. No. That's
Conrad hated his legion.
Yeah. Like Mortarion still had kind of a heart.
So Mortarion, a positive thing that I can say about Mortarion is the one thing he valued was loyalty.
Yeah.
He was loyal. If you got his loyalty, he was loyal to you to the point of being an idiot. And he expected loyalty, the absolute loyalty in return.
Yeah.
So that's what got him so fuckered by Typhus.
I know. Yeah, that fucked him up real bad.
So Nurgle basically browbeats him into joining him, turning him into a hypocrite because Mortarion's all about, you outlast your opponent. If you can't outlast your opponent, then you're weak. And it's like, man, there's always somebody bigger and tougher than you.
Yeah, there's always a limit, no matter who you are.
And thus is born the Death Guard as we know them now, the Plague Marines.
Yeah.
They are part of the Horus Heresy all the way to the Siege of Terra. The Death Guard are on Terra during the fight. I just got through this with the Warhawk.
Ooh, yes.
They lead the front line pretty much right up until the World Eaters get there because, World Eaters, all they are is front line.
Yeah, fair enough.
So they're there, and Mortarion, wisely enough, has captured a spaceport and completely surrounded it, and he's not coming out to fight at all. Instead, he's using his newfound powers to radiate waves of misery and fatigue out.
Striking at the morale.
Yeah. And it's like getting to the point where Rogel Dorn is starting to forget conversations that he's just had.
Oh.
He can't remember battle plans because he's just too tired.
Oh.
His men are starting to lose zeal. Like, it's actually like, and he can feel it. Like, he's like, this is a foreign thing doing this to me. I don't know what's happening.
Whoa.
Jagatai is like, this is Mortarion. And apparently they fought once before this, which I'm going to have to go back and find if that's what that's in because I'll have to get that and read it. But it's before they fell to Nurgle. So they had a fight one-on-one as just regular Primarchs.
Pre-moth wings.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a picture of it right around in here somewhere. It's one of the ones we already have. So future Eric, you can take a sigh.
We're good.
Jagatai and Mortarion have this frenemy kind of relationship, right? They're such staunch enemies of each other that he's like, this is Mortarion doing it. Yeah. So I'm going to lead this mad rush out and take him. And they do. The White Scars take the port, which helps slow down the traitors significantly during the Siege of Terra. Jagatai gets into a fight with now Demon Primarch Mortarion.
Yep.
And he gets the absolute dog shit beat out of him. Jagatai does. And spoiler alert for the Warhawk.
Yeah.
Because this is if there is a twist for Warhawk, this is it. And the only reason why I'm giving a spoiler is because this is the last book published in the Horus Heresy series.
So it's the most recent one.
Right. It is the most recent one. And Echoes of Eternity is the next one. It's coming out September.
So cover your ears, Jerry.
Oh,
just kidding.
But spoiler alert, Jagatai actually Rockies him. He allows Mortarion to just beat the dog shit out of him until Mortarion is so tired that he just can't keep up with Jagatai. So one of the things that Mortarion comments on is that Jagatai is usually a very dancey fighter, right? He's considered to be the best swordsman next to the lion out of the Primarchs. Although I think it's generally understood that Sanguinius is the overall best fighter of all of them.
Right.
Or the most ferocious. I'm not... The Primarch fighting scale is a little hazy to me.
Yeah.
Because sometimes things don't quite... What they say and what it means is not usually...
They're all good at different things.
They're all... Yeah.
Yeah.
But then they'll make like
they're also even across the board.
Yeah.
They kind of find ways to even the odds.
Yeah. So
I guess.
Mortarion's kind of commenting about Jagatai not dancing around and not doing anything. He's like, have you lost your mind? But at the same time, the entire time they're fighting, Jagatai is dropping off these fucking like F-bomb insults on Mortarion. He's like, oh, is this all you've got? Perhaps I should have fought the real leader of the Death Guard. Do you know where Typhon is by any chance?
Oh, shit.
Yep.
And just all these little like insults that just enrage Mortarion. You know, he's just like, oh, I thought that you were all about your endurance. It looks like you're breathing a little hard. Mortarion's and just goes crazy,
chipping away at his pride.
Yeah. Oh, egging him on in the worst way.
And then finally, like Mortarion's like can't hardly lift his arms anymore, and Jagatai's like, now I dance, and just like takes just death by 1,000 cuts in.
Listen, I hate this for Mortarion. He gets out enduranced by another Primarch. That is his thing.
Who isn't even demon possessed.
I hate that. What an insult. What an insult. And I don't know why. I didn't care about Mortarion before research for this episode.
It's so funny.
What happened? Do I relate to him too much? Am I a hypocrite? What's going on?
No,
this poor guy.
It's good. It's good. I told you the Primarchs are awesome. That's why I love them so much. I think the best writing that I've come across in 40K is with the Primarchs.
They are very rich. They are very rich characters. That's for sure. But boy, what a man, Jagatai may as well have spat on him.
Yeah, I think it would have been less insulting if he had.
I think so.
And
it's
so
a very insulting way for him to
he manages to stab like Mortarion in the throat and sends him into the warp because once you're demon possessed, you can't die. You just go to the warp.
Yeah, just
Jagatai falls over dead.
Does he die from exhaustion?
Well, I mean, like his face is broken. He's been impaled like 2 or 3 times. Like it's just he's bleeding from like 1,000 wounds that are each one of them should have killed him.
Yeah,
but
so I guess it took.
But they load him up. They load Jagatai up, and they're bringing him to basically bury him, even though Terra is still under war. And this woman who is with them, that they refer to as like a priestess, sort of. She puts her hand on Jagatai's head, just trying to say goodbye to him, because Jagatai would actually come in and sit with her and just have chats.
No, and
Jagatai actually, I can see why he's still not my favorite, or still like there are other Primarchs I like more, but I get why people like him so much. Like there's a moment where he just gets kind of down and he gets kind of depressed, and he goes to talk to her because he enjoys talking to her. And when he knocks on the door and she opens up, he can tell that he woke her up. And he's like, it's not that important. I'm sorry that I bothered you. And she has to like drag him in because he's like, no, this was rude of me. You were sleeping. Like rest is so rare right now.
Oh.
So he's very humble. He's incredibly humble when dealing with humans.
Aw, okay. I can respect that.
Yeah.
Not a lot of Primarchs show a lot of humbleness to humans.
No. Even the ones that like humans.
Right. They're usually still pretty like, you're a toddler to me at best.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sanguinius is kind of like that. Although Sanguinius looks at them as, he would never call them lower beings, but he looks at them as lower beings to be inspired.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's his job, is to inspire these lesser things into a higher.
Yeah. The higher ideal that they put on him.
Yeah. Whereas Vulcan and it seems like Jagatai really approach humans as, well, we're human.
Yeah.
Most of the Primarchs seem to have forgotten that.
Yeah. That's a good point. Because they are, man, even in my mind, they've become such like godlike beings. Like they're more an equivalent to like, Greek pantheon almost.
Right, but they are human.
Yeah, they're human first.
They have all the human flaws. That's why they make stupid fucking decisions.
Yeah.
And so she puts her hand on him to say goodbye to him when she realizes, and it hasn't been explained yet because, the next book's still coming, that he can be saved. And so they're now on a mad dash through the war to Malkador. And they get to him, and Malkador is like, what the? He's like, thank you for bringing him to me. Like, you're...
Yeah.
I can't believe you actually managed to do this. And the way they describe all the machinery that Jagatai's hooked up to is that to get to him, Malkador has to climb over the machinery and then disappears into it.
He has to use power to
No, he physically climbs over one of the machines, and there's so many machines around him that he disappears.
He goes out of sight.
Yeah,
I see.
You can lose a whole human being in them because there's so many machines around the bed.
Wow, just that's some intense life support going on there.
Yeah. She can't see Jagatai from where she's standing right next to it.
Wow. So that's the cost of trying to out-endure the endurance guy, at least.
It is.
So that takes a little bit of the sting off.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't like he did
price
it.
to pay.
Yeah.
So Mortarion was banished back to the warp, and then he very recently came back. He's now back out into the world with the Dark Imperium, which I know I said that I was going to finish that, but honestly, the Ultramarines suck dick. Calgar is such a whiny bastard. Such a whiny bastard. For being such a hero, he's such a whiny bastard.
Is that the Plague Wars?
Yeah.
Is that what he's come back for?
Yes. And we do know that ended. That's over with. That ended with Rabute, because, Rabute is back. He's the only loyalist Primarch from the Ultramarines. He's back in the current timeline. So he's fighting Mortarion, and he ends up getting possessed by the Emperor.
Oh.
Who then goes into the Garden of Nurgle and burns half of it down.
Oh.
This is a big deal.
I remember that. Yeah.
Apparently when this happened, people were like, what the actual fuck?
I can't, man. We know a guy from the Garden of Nurgle. That's no small feat.
Yeah, I don't think that's happened yet in his timeline.
No, probably not. Ugh.
Might have to deal with that.
Yeah, might have to deal with that. There's a lot of regrowing to do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So that's kind of where Mortarion's at right now.
God.
He is in the Imperium. He's out in the plains. He has remade a planet into Barbarus. There's a new Barbarus.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
And him and Typhus are not on eye-to-eye level at all.
They're not cool anymore.
I heard that they'll fight together sometimes, but they normally don't see eye to eye, and they do not get along.
Typhus. Yeah. So Mortarion, unfortunately, Mortarion's kind of deluding himself. Mortarion, when they're getting ready to do the Plague War, he sends for Typhus and is and they're like, my lord, I don't know that he'll come. And Mortarion's like, he is my first captain. When I say come, he comes. And his loyalty is and Typhus is like, well, yeah, I'm coming, but that's because it's what the grandfather wants.
Yeah.
It's I don't give a shit about your...
Yeah.
And so while Mortarion is on this new Barbarus, Typhus is actually out spreading plagues amongst the galaxy. So,
a good boy.
Yeah, he has a lot of disdain for Mortarion and how he's handling his demon prince. His
kind of the gift of the grandfather. Basically,
what's it called? Not ascension, but
corruption.
No,
dissension.
There's an actual term for it where when they get a demon Primarch, it starts with an A. Anyway, I'm gonna look it up, but he feels like Mortarion has wasted this.
Yeah,
and so he kind of is campaigning to become the new Primarch. Kind of, he's trying to get Nurgle to turn him into a demon prince because he doesn't feel that Mortarion is doing the right thing.
Weird that he's not already a demon prince, really. I mean, he's got to be on the same sort of level by this point, right?
Yeah, it would seem that way.
Yeah, kind of in that. I get why it's different because he's a merging of a demon and
apotheosis. There it is.
Apotheosis.
Apotheosis is when a demon Primarch or when a Primarch ascends to demonhood.
I would have never guessed that.
Apotheosis.
Yeah. Apotheosis.
So that's that is where we find Mortarion right now. So it's him and Rabute are back right now. We know Angron is going to be the next Primarch to return.
Ooh.
And we're getting confirmation that the next loyalist to return will either be the Lion or Lehman Russ.
Oh, I hope it's Lehman. I hope it's Lehman.
The latest rumor indicates that it's probably going to be Johnson, so don't get too excited.
Shit.
Which, man, like, goddamn, talk about picking the two most vanilla of the loyalist Primarchs to bring back.
Who? Are you talking about both of them?
Yeah, Rabute and...
Oh, I see. Okay, I thought you meant...
No, not Lehman, no, but like Rabute and the Lion? Like,
yeah, God. Oh, it'd be so churchy.
Yeah. I'm like,
It's like we still favor the bad guys.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's between Angron and Mortarion and Rabute and Johnson, then I mean, yeah, kinda. So the bitch of it is my two favorite Primarchs can't come back. They're dead.
Dead?
That's
Wait,
Sanguinius and Conrad.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep.
They're
They are
both
dead.
They're both gone. Now we do know that the Emperor has Sanguinius in the warp and has given him a form inside of the warp.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, what if they pull a Jesus with him? Like,
Oh my God.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. Like he sacrificed himself, and then once they're like, "All right, Horus Heresy's done. It's time for him to rise again."
He's back.
He's back. That'd be pretty cool. He has a lot of Christian iconography from what I know tangentially about
of
him.
course.
I know almost nothing about Sanguinius.
You know what? I'm torn. As much as I would love to see Sanguinius back, I don't know. It's tough because his death is one of those ones, right?
Yeah.
He sacrificed himself fighting Horus and managed to chip his armor enough for the Emperor to attack him.
Yeah.
And without that, it never would have. So I don't know. I'm torn on the idea of Sanguinius coming back. Conrad, no.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Conrad's toast.
Yep. Unfortunately, but it's necessary.
Yeah.
So that's it for Mortarion, really.
Yeah. Do we want to just kind of wrap it up with our any thoughts? Final thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Jerry, we'll start with you.
Yeah. I had like one of my sources.
Sure.
The guy mentioned that Mortarion had gone into the warp after he had ascended. He went back into the warp and found Nakar's soul and grabbed it and put it in a little jar. And so he keeps it with him on his ship and tortures it for fun.
Oh my gosh. That is both poetic and the definition of carrying a chip on your shoulder.
I was like, okay, he's not letting that go, and that's kind of cool.
Oh man, that is spiteful as fuck. What a cool.
Well, I mean, if you're all about endurance, talk about being able to hold a grudge.
You're right.
It's like,
wow,
aren't you gonna let this go? It's like, have you met me? Letting go is not a thing I do.
It's not what I do at all.
I thought you were dead, but I came back.
Now you're in a how vindicating for him, but also like, damn dude, learn. Please learn.
Yeah. Like
grow Mortarion.
Yeah, because it's not like a full-on vengeance kind of thing, but he does have him forever now.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Just always hanging on to that past. That's such a good find. I'm so glad that dice.
Yeah. I like Mortarion. He's on the lower scale of the Primarchs for me, but after reading his books, I definitely have a greater appreciation and understanding for Mortarion as a character.
Yeah.
I mean, his look and everything is badass. He's one of the cooler looking Primarchs.
I do like his look too. Yeah, he's got the moth wings and the respirator.
Like tethered or tattered kind of
mothy
wings.
Yeah. Always kind of disheveled slightly.
Scythe silence, and then the lantern.
His lantern, which is his plasma pistol.
Yeah, which an ancient one. I thought that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a neat one.
So, no, I like him. He is so whiny. So whiny.
I know.
Mortarion.
Isn't he like huge too? Like he was tall to begin with, and then when he
all of the demon Primarchs are ridiculously big.
Okay, yeah.
They're ginormous.
Okay,
ginormous monsters.
They're about so it's kind of funny though. They're actually probably about the size of Vulcan.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was the big boy.
Vulcan is the biggest of the Primarchs by a considerable amount.
Yeah, like he makes the Primarchs kind of look like Astartes.
Yeah.
Compared to Primarchs.
He's like, he's big. He's taller than the Emperor. Like, he's taller than everybody.
I thought that was pretty crazy. Isn't Mortarion's scythe possessed by a demon? Isn't there like a sensor on top that a demon like went into and that's why it's like something that made it more corruptive and
so
like
that I don't know.
Okay. I
would not doubt it.
Yeah.
That would not surprise me.
So there
Again,
we go.
I didn't get through the Plague War.
Right.
I'm working on it.
We're working on it. Let us know in the comments, though. That'd be a neat thing to know for sure. And any other cool facts, too, like what Jerry just dropped on us about, like
the soul.
foster father. Yeah. Like whatever.
Soul.
Nakar. Yeah.
So, Eric, what are your... I wanted to leave you for last because you've been having this kind of weird thing with Mortarion.
I know. I have I need to do some like self-examining, I guess. I don't know.
See,
it's
but
like,
that's what's so great about the Primarchs. That's what hooked me with Conrad Kurz, is because he has this kind,
Yeah, you found something in him that you connected with, huh?
Yeah, that dichotomy of having this evil thing inside of you, and
yeah.
So they just there's such a variety in them that you'll find one that just hits you just kind of special. Like
I may have just now put my finger on it.
Sure,
he has a problem with authority, and I may also. I think it's safe to say that some versions of authority I tend to have to be a bit of a bitch about myself.
That's fair.
Yeah. So that might be what started me sympathizing with him without really knowing it.
Yeah.
But like it was the humanizing moments in there that were like his trust in Typhon. A lot of that really brought forth the sympathy from me. Like when he like it was literally those words, like, I don't know the man I'm fighting of Typhon. It's like, that is somebody that I have known, he had known for his whole career, like
practically his entire life.
Pretty much. And just to have that sudden realization that like, you don't know it. You don't know shit about this person that you thought you did. Just really hit, that one hurt. That hit deep. Yeah. So I was like, you know what, man, this isn't all Mortarion's fault.
It isn't. No.
That was, and then stuff like, the amount of care he has for his sons too, like when comparing him to some other Primarchs, I was struck by. I wasn't expecting out of him. You think traitor Primarch, he must be terrible.
I mean, we saw this with Angron and Logar, though. You had Logar, you had Angron who was holding up the foot of a Titan to keep Logar alive, and then in return, Logar swore to do anything he could to protect Angron and to save his life from the butcher's nails, and that included turning him into a demon Primarch.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because he was like mustache twirly, haha, I want an angry demon to throw at the enemy. He was like, this is literally the only way I can save my brother's life.
Yeah. So no, you're right. The Primarchs are such just rich characters. There's a lot of cool stuff in there.
Yeah.
I was very taken off guard by Mortarion. I think I may be that might have turned me into a Death Guard like fan. That I might be loyalists,
Lehman
Russ and Traitors Mortarion. Yeah. That might have done
Which is so funny because you do not like the sick, gross, icky.
Oh God, no, it's disgusting. I hate it. But I would love to love it. Does that make sense? Like if I were like Nurgle's dude, it's like, oh yeah, I'll never be grossed out by anything ever again.
Yeah.
I would love that. Yeah.
I'm gonna live forever. It's gonna be great.
I'm gonna live forever and things are gonna be icky to other people, but not to me. No.
See, so that's
freeing.
That's
freeing, yes.
That's how I became a fan of the legions and the Primarchs that I did. The Blood Angels are what I would like to be, and the Night Lords are what I'm afraid of.
Yeah. Yeah. There we go. Ooh, there it is. Maybe Mortarion's what I'm afraid of being. Yeah. Cool.
That's a good thing to be afraid of.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's a lot of hypocrisy.
No.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, there we go.
I think that's a good fucking place to end on right there.
Dive into Eric's psyche and then off we go. Fair enough.
That's the good stuff. I'm going to use your term. That's the juice.
Yeah, the juice. There it is.
Yeah, he always likes it when it's somebody else's juice. He doesn't like it when it's his
Not my own juice.
He doesn't like it when it's his own juices?
Okay,
Jerry?
yeah.
It's getting moist in here.
Oh, God. Motherfucker. That's a finger in the ass.
Oh God,
anyway,
let's get out of here.
Yeah, we're gonna. You know what? I liked it better when we were ending with the possibility of like The thing you fear.
Yes.
That was all shot to shit. Anyway.
Moisture, I'm afraid.
So that's it for this episode of Call to Lore and our part 1 look at Mortarion. Of course, since he's still active in the story, it's a part 1.
Yeah, there's got to be more.
There's going to be more.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we're going to do an episode on the Death Guard themselves, which will have more about Typhus and some of the other heroes of the Death Guard.
Woo! Yeah. So we'll do our plugs real quick. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and all that stuff.
On all the different stuff. Yep. If you're on YouTube, make sure you hit subscribe, turn the bell notifications to all because personalized is a bitch.
Yeah.
Follow us on all the different things. The Garden of Nurgle stuff is going to be our kind of unholy breakaway into TikTok.
Our fall into chaos.
Yeah, I'm a whore. It's fine.
I know. I was going to say that was your idea too.
Well, I hate all of it. I really do.
And I love it.
I'm going to complain about it on MySpace.
Oh, back on MySpace. Wow, I hadn't thought about MySpace for a few months. Years? Where are we in time again? I get confused sometimes.
2004.
4? Okay.
Oh,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, totally. This all makes sense. Oh, God. All right.
Anyway, we're going to
say hi to Jerry in the comments, and we're going to get out of here.
So thank you, guys. With that, I'm Ben.
I'm Eric.
I'm Farmer Morty.
Thank you, Farmer Morty. And this has been Call to Lore, guys. Thanks again, and join us every first and third Thursday. Although it's usually Friday.
No, shut up.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.